everyone, thank you so much for watching Who's Behind the Headline. This is my first podcast episode, and this is something that I have been dreaming about, meditating on, journaling about for the past 2 years, and I finally decided it is time. Working as a journalist, I meet so many people that inspire me, that change the way that I see the world, but I also meet a lot of people who feel very deeply alone in their pain, and I figured maybe we could change that through long-form conversation. And that's why I started this podcast, to share humanity, to share connection, and to share the stories behind the headlines that are so important. And that is where we're going to start today with the very first episode. My first guest is Shannon Meyers. Her son, Cash Gaudio, was followed home by someone he did not know and shot and killed, and he died in his mother's arms. And Cash was just 19 at the time that his life was stolen from him. Now, Cash's family has experienced the unimaginable since, and during this episode, we talk through grief. We talk through what it is like for young children who are grieving, and we also talk about Cash, his life. We go behind the headline and explore the love and light that he brought into the world. And I recommend that even after this podcast, you continue to look into Cash's story, into his foundation, the Like Cash Gaudio Foundation. I want to thank you so much for being here at the start of this journey. So make sure you like, subscribe, and most importantly, keep watching. All right. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining me today on the first episode of my podcast. I feel honored to speak with you every time you trust me with Cash's story. I know that we both wish that we met under completely different circumstances, but I really do appreciate you continuing to share Cash's story because I personally feel like it's so important, and I know that his story can change the world.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. So I first wanted to ask you, since I last saw you, how have you been doing? I know you've had a lot of big changes coming up. You've had a big move. There's stuff going on in the background with everyday life. How have you been doing?
Just still surviving, getting through each day. In terms of the foundation, we awarded some more scholarships after that. So we've given out a total of 5 scholarships so far. And we all just decided as a board to kind of take a breath, and because we did a lot in a short period of time, we raised more than $100,000 just since starting the foundation less than a year ago. And so the summer we kind of just took a little break, but we've been talking about upcoming plans, things we're going to do. So this summer, as a family, we were just in a rental downtown. As we got our house ready, we just moved in on Tuesday. We're still moving in, and we had a lot of work to do here. So we just have been hanging out, just trying to unwind a little bit. We took a little vacation to Kiowa Island and to Charleston. We went to see Creed, which is a band Cash saw in concert 12 days before he was murdered. And for those 12 days, he walked around the house nonstop, belting out Creed songs. He had a Creed song listed on his Instagram profile, My Own Prison. He just was obsessed with them in a short period of time. So we went to that concert, which was emotional, but also just I felt him there, which was great. So the reason that we moved is that after he was murdered, we stayed in our house for a while, but I realized that there was no way I could ever function there at any level that I needed to as a mom of a now going into second grade child. I couldn't go in the driveway. I couldn't look in the driveway. I couldn't drive up to my own house because the driveway was visible right when you pulled in, to the street. So it just wasn't working. And so one of the neat things about this house is that the first time we came to see it, the second thing the realtor said to me was, this house was built by Tim Cash. And then I walked into the kitchen, and the backsplash is mostly plain tile, but there was a sunshine tile that immediately caught my eye. And Cash was my only child that I sang "You Are My Sunshine" to. My other two kids, I had different songs for them. So then we went in the office, and there was a huge UVA diploma on the wall, which is where Cash intended to, he was planning, and that was his goal, to go to UVA. So there were a lot of signs here that I felt like he was saying, "This, Mama, this is the house."
Yeah. And you guys were able to sell the other home pretty quickly. Very. Unusually
very
quick.
Quickly.
Yeah.
I think we had the listing photos taken on a Thursday. It was listed Friday night. A family came Saturday afternoon, and we had a full price offer Sunday morning. So thankfully, we didn't have to go through a long process of showing it a bunch of times. And I'm really pleased that the family, it's a young family, and they're local, so they knew about Cash's story, which was a concern of mine, because that's not something that has to be disclosed by realtors. So I felt weird about someone from out of town coming in and buying it and not knowing that.
Right.
So they wrote us a very sweet letter with their offer, and it just was a comfort to me to know that they didn't buy it in spite of what happened. They bought it because they could feel love in the house. Their youngest child has the same birthday as Cash.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just felt like I know that they're growing their family there and making new memories and bringing back a positive spirit to a home that I could no longer be in. But that, it's really difficult we loved that house, and it's just another thing that was taken
away,
that we were forced into a position where that we just couldn't stay there. And it was, Reese and I both experienced obviously a very traumatic thing, and it makes me angry that it's not just the event, there's this explosion and ripple effect to the event itself that is so far reaching and so long lasting. It will be with us forever. There's no better, there's no closure,
right?
There's no getting over it. It's been tomorrow 46 weeks, but in some ways it feels like it just happened. So the world keeps going, and we're in this life of standstill and just trauma and grief, and just we're a different family. Our family dynamic. My 7-year-old lost his best friend. My daughter lost her first friend. She lost the person that most closely shared her life experience of growing up.
Yeah.
And I think there's a unique connection when you have a sibling that you've grown up with, because you have all your inside jokes, you have all your common experiences, you know what it's like to be the children of your parents, and that is all just gone. So,
and everyone is left kind of having to in some way keep going. You know, work doesn't stop. School for McKenna didn't stop. If you don't mind, I want to circle back to that, but I want to start before the headline, you know, before the unthinkable happened to your family. Talk to me a little bit about Cash and who he is. I know we like to say present tense, who he is. I'm sure you still feel him, his presence all the time.
I do. I think every parent has a unique relationship with each one of their children. And my relationship with Cash was and is very close. Of my 3 children, he was the only one that I didn't know if I was having a boy or a girl before that day. He is tender-hearted, caring. If he ever thought he did anything to like upset me or hurt my feelings, which he would like text me and say, "Sorry, Mom," and I'm like, "What?" I wouldn't even realize, like, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
But he was so careful, respectful, hilarious, the funniest, just sweetest little boy. I have a tattoo on my arm of something that happened when he was about 5. He had a bunk bed, and it had steps instead of stairs. Like instead of a ladder, it had stairs. So one morning I went in to get him, and it was, you know, for school, and it was super early, and he would walk down the stairs every day from the bunk bed, and I would pick him up, and he would just like wrap himself around me. And I picked him up one morning, and I said, "Buddy, you're getting so heavy. What am I going to do when I can't carry you anymore?" And he was half asleep, and his head was just like in my neck. And he said, "Then I'll just carry you." And he did, and does. He was always dancing, like his whole time. Even as a kid, he was dancing. Just funny, and he and his sister would have their little squabbles, which would be hilarious, but you knew they still loved each other. And he just, I can't explain. As he got older, he was so connected with people. One of the things that we were so surprised to find out is exactly how many people he was snapping, texting, just all the time, every day, multiple people. We thought it was just, we thought it was us, Yeah. I thought I'm the only one getting the capybara pictures or Instagrams or whatever. But teachers, he would text his teachers on their birthday. He would just go above and beyond for anything, for anybody. He would come home from the grocery store and tell me about the guy he met while he was buying wings and tell me like 3 things about the guy. Like he just moved through the world, interested in other people. And I've had people reach out and say, Cash always checked in with me about my faith. There was one girl that said when I met Cash, the first thing he asked me was my name, and the second thing he asked me was if I knew Jesus. And he was dedicated to trying to be the person that he thought God wanted him to be. He was very deliberate and committed to that. And he loves his baby brother so much. I mean, one of the hardest things is knowing that I will never see him, be married and have his own kids. But I feel like I got to see a little bit of a glimpse of what he would be like as a dad, just in the way he took care of Reese and like the concern he showed for him, even that day, just coming into a potentially dangerous situation that he wasn't sure what was happening, to protect us because he knew that we were inside and he didn't want us to encounter this person.
What has that meant for you to kind of sit with, you know, like, I feel like as more time goes on, as you received his senior portrait, are more thoughts like that starting to fill your head of, you know, like missing out on those things and kind of what it would have been like to see him?
You always are thinking of those things, especially when like school's starting back. So I'm starting to go through this process of, you know, this time last year, he was starting college, trying mentally prepare for sort of I relive it all the time, but like we're approaching the anniversary. It's always on my mind. I tell people that it's like Cash is in my brain 24/7. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, what else I'm saying. It's like there's like this background loop that's just Cash, Cash, Cash. He's just there to a point where I feel like I feel connected to him in a way that I almost feel like I am him, which sounds really crazy, and it's kind of hard to articulate what I'm even trying to express.
I think other parents who have experienced similar, have gone through this type of grief could probably identify with that 100%.
When you don't have the physical presence anymore, what you do have is the part that was in you all along, but it just that part becomes more obvious. And I feel like I'm his voice, so that contributes to that feeling as well, because he no longer has a voice, but he does have an impact and an influence and a story. And now I'm the person. I feel like I, along with other people in my family, but I as his mom especially, feel like I'm the one that will carry that forward. And I mean, that's my focus now, is making sure that he has never ever forgotten that his influence lives beyond even me. That's what we're doing through the foundation. We want it to be about so much more than just a financial scholarship. We have plans to have, there's only 5 scholars right now, but we have plans to each year have events with the students.
Amazing.
So that they understand they're part of a living legacy, that this isn't just, oh, your tuition was taken care of, or part of your tuition was taken care of. You were chosen for a reason, and you're representing Cash's legacy. And we just want that to grow and grow, so that when we're not here anymore, those people are the ones who will be still carrying forward Cash's story.
When it came to speaking out and being Cash's voice and speaking to the media, obviously when Cash was first murdered, I'm sure that was maybe the last thing you thought was, you know, having to speak out, even having to use your voice ever again and speak. I know that could be, you know, impossible at a time like that. When did you decide that that was something that you wanted to do? Was it kind of, or am I reading it wrong? Was it kind of a no-brainer from the very beginning that you were going to speak out and speak to the media?
It was. And I was also obviously very much in shock. I other than like watching those interviews, I hardly remember them. But as soon as the first person asked me, will you talk to us? Yes, absolutely, 100%. It's the same thing as like court hearings, court dates. No matter how small, no matter what they're for, I'm there. Like, it just isn't even a question for me. I know that's different for everybody, and some people aren't comfortable doing that.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's easy to do, but I think that Cash deserves that. And so it was never a hesitation to speak out and to make sure people know who Cash is.
Right.
That he's not just this tragedy. That is obviously a huge part of our lives and his story, but he's so much more than what was done to him. Right down to probably even his compassion, seeing someone holding a child and probably thinking that maybe that person needs help.
Right.
And that person's not feeling threatened by that person. So it was I never hesitated.
I would like to talk to you a little bit about, in the days, weeks, months after, what did support look like for you and your family, from whether it was friends, family, even the news media? Mm-hmm. What did that look like?
We had amazing support. In the very first, probably maybe 3 months, all I did was literally sit in a chair and just get through the day. And I couldn't be alone. And there were like lists, schedules of people who would just come and sit with me. Like, just be there with me so I wasn't by myself. Reese's school was incredibly supportive and just sensitive to what we were dealing with. Sorority sisters, there was like a big group, WhatsApp group of like 75 of my sorority sisters, that some of whom I had not talked to in 20 years.
Wow.
Maybe longer. They hosted an event at Clemson in a chapel there to honor Cash. It was a whole weekend event, and people constantly just reaching out. Yeah. Obviously, tons of food. Everybody people wanting to do anything they could do, because I think it's something that is every single parent's absolute worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And you feel helpless. So people just wanted to help, and they knew they couldn't take away my pain. But anything that they thought they could do that could be helpful, they did. And then Cash's friends, I mean, just so amazing and impressive. They love him so much. They love our family so much. They are like our children.
Yeah.
I get snaps every day from different friends. They come visit. Some of them are going away to college. They always make sure to come see us before they've headed out of town. One of Cash's friends recently reached out to me. He plays basketball, and he's going to wear Cash's number 3 this
Amazing.
year. And he was getting these specific Nikes that you can customize. And he said, I would like your family to customize my shoes for me.
That's amazing.
So I've only seen like the picture of like what we did on the Nike website, but they're purple and orange, and they're the exact opposite. So on one shoe where it's purple, it's orange on the other shoe. They're the complete reverse of each other. Yeah. But it has a number 3 The back of one says cash and the back of the other one says money, because Gaudio wouldn't fit. So, and people have called him Cash Money throughout his life. And just like, what a thoughtful kindness that he just came up with and wanted to do for us. He loved well, and he is so loved.
Can we talk a little bit about grief? And maybe, if you don't mind, because I feel like people who are watching this interview are going to be able to sympathize with you. There's going to be people who have experienced maybe something similar to what you have experienced. And I know there's a lot of people who just feel so stuck in that grief that it's debilitating, and it's completely understandable. Will you talk to me just maybe a little bit about what you've learned about grief? We all go through grief, but losing a child, I would assume, is different.
I've had other losses in my life. I lost my father when I was 6. Grandparents. I definitely wasn't one of those people that had never experienced grief in my life before. This is a completely different, it's just a different thing. You feel like a part of you is ripped away as a mother, that can never be made right until I'm in heaven and I'm with him again, and I never ever have to let him go for eternity. Grief has affected me mentally, physically. Before I was not on any medications at all. Now I have to take multiple anti-anxiety, antidepressant, medication to sleep. I'm about to go through some testing for autoimmune disease, because I've had some weird hives and rashes. There's a constant flow of cortisol just that doesn't go away. I'm always on edge, always on alert. And so that cortisol, I've gained weight. I just don't, when I look in the mirror, I see a different person than I saw before. And the grief, and it's maybe it's different in my situation, because I lived through such a traumatic event.
Right.
I was in
witnessing it and everything.
Yeah. So it's taken me a while to actually feel like I've gotten to the grief part, because I've been so overwhelmed by the trauma part.
Yeah.
And I'm experiencing both at the same time. Also trying to be a mother to a little boy who also experienced something extremely traumatic, something that an adult should never even experience, let alone a little boy. And just trying to figure out, I struggle to read him anymore. If he's quiet one day or having an off day, I don't know how to tell anymore. I used to be able to be oh, it's probably this or that. Now, my first thought is it Cash? But I don't want to say it, is it Cash? Because what if it's not that and he's just having an off day? So there's just so many parts of it. The biggest thing I learned about grief is that it is not linear. The whole thing of all the stages of grief is completely just inaccurate, because it is all of those all at once. Some you might go through and then you revisit, they happen again later.
It's not one stage at a time.
Yeah,
it's
you don't go through a stage and then you've I've made it to the end of the pathway. It is a constant it's more like a bowl of spaghetti. It's just all happening at once.
Yeah.
And then you have a feeling of like every step forward, you feel guilty. Like moms already carry guilt. It's an inherent, I think, in us that we want to do the right thing for our kids. And if I do this, maybe I should have done that. And so it's just even, before this. So as you kind of have to keep going, even moving into this house feels like, there should be joy, but the reason I'm moving into this house I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm in a position that I was able to be, to be able to move, because not everybody even can do that if they feel like they need to. No matter what I do here, Cash is not here.
Right.
I mean, he is here in spirit, but I wish I was at my old house. And that's something Reese has said to me a lot. I miss our old house. I miss our old house. And so finally one day I said, Reese, do you miss our house, or do you miss that Bubba was there with us? And he said, Bubba.
Yeah.
But his way of expressing it was, I miss our old house.
Right.
He misses our old life. I just keep going every day, and I talk to Cash. I journal. I've filled up 3 notebooks already. I want to write a book one day, and I'm trying to just collect some thoughts, and also just it's therapeutic to me to just talk to him like I would, telling him, I told him about the Creed concert and talking to him about just what has happened that week.
I wanted to ask you about your posts on Facebook, the posts that you do every Monday.
Yep.
We're going on the 46th week, so I'm expecting there will be a post tomorrow.
Yes.
Can you talk to me? I think, that's been obviously very healing for you, and I'm sure, too, like his friends and other family and your family friends that read those.
That started just sort of at the beginning as just a way to get my feelings out and try to convey the depths of anguish that are incomprehensible. And also just to tell stories about Cash and talk about him and keep people thinking about him. Yeah. Because I posted about him before, why would now be any different? And it just sort of became part of a ritual for me on Mondays. I don't always know. Like sometimes I know what I'm going to post about, and before the day happens, like I've already kind of thought about like what story do I want to share. Sometimes it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, what do I want to say? What do I want to write about? And then also on Mondays, like I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. I can't look at a clock. I can't because of knowing the timeline and not wanting to accidentally see those actual times that I know when he texted me from Fresh Market. I know what time that was.
Right.
I know when he called. I know all those times, and I can't see those. So on Mondays I'll say to Reese, especially over the summer since we've been together, all day every day, I'll just say, don't tell me what time it is, but is it after 4 o'clock? And he'll be like, yes. And he'll say, it's 4:13 or whatever.
Yeah.
And he knows, he understands why. He knows. We talk about Cash more in a happy memories. And,
right.
What would Cash think about this? And remember when Cash did that. But he also understands I don't hide my grief from him because it's a part of me now, and it's not going to ever go away. And I just want him to understand and know that it's okay if we feel sad. It's okay if we cry. It's okay if we don't cry. It's all okay to feel what we feel. And so, those posts I've had a lot of people say, I read your post every Monday. My Facebook is private and my Instagram is public, but even the Monday posts I always make public on Facebook because it's just all about, everything to me is about Cash, shining light on him, putting out into the world what he can't anymore, and being the vessel that carries on the positivity that he would be giving the world right now. If he's still giving the world that positivity, he just can't do it himself anymore, and so we have to do it for him.
I would assume that something like this would completely shatter a sense of safety, completely alter the world as you knew it. You know, I've always hear a lot of people saying, you don't think that this is going to happen to you.
Yeah, you definitely don't think. And you think, if you don't go bad places or do bad things or hang around with, you know, people that are involved in bad activities, that you feel like you have some level of safety. But we don't, because you never know. You truly never know who is out there, who is standing beside you. My biggest, it surprises me sometimes, actually, the things that will like catch me off guard that I didn't expect or think in advance would bother me. Like, in the beginning, when I would see people walking down the sidewalk, in my head, I would be like I was like, what are you doing? Like, there's murderers, there's people, someone's going to shoot you. Like, in my head, I thought, like, there's someone around every corner, because we're not safe.
Yeah.
It's an illusion. And people want to have a reason, and they want to know why, because they think if they can figure out why it happened, they're protected, because they just won't do that thing. But Cash didn't do anything. He was 100% completely innocent. And 4th of July was one that was difficult. More so the night before, there were like intermittent fireworks, and we were downtown. And I couldn't see the fireworks because it wasn't like a specific. I think they might have been at the stadium.
Okay.
And then there were also just people setting off fireworks for hours. And like, I just was like flinching constantly every time I heard it. So the next night, when there was the downtown fireworks, I knew what time they were going to start, and we went and stood outside and watched them so that my brain could see I'm hearing fireworks. So things like that, sirens, anything like that can just sort of cause a reaction in me. I'm very protective about like where we live now, not like wanting to just put that out there. Whereas before, I mean, I know that it's, you know, it's public record. It's but I don't have to like add to it. You know, and it wasn't even that this person knew where we lived. He followed Cash, but there's just something about trying to protect my feeling and like the guidelines and guardrails I put up for myself to feel like I'm safe. When we lived in the apartment, there was a deadbolt, but I bought this like stick thing that you can like shove underneath the door.
We have
because
those.
I was like, I can't sleep at night unless I feel like extra protected to be in here, because there were, you know, there's not any cameras. Here we have cameras everywhere. It was one of the first things that Jeff did, is because that's how we know exactly what happened to Cash, is because of the cameras that we had. And in terms of like, I mean, I know because I was there, but I didn't see, but it's all on camera. And so it was important to us right away to know like who's approaching our house, you know, things like that. So I'm extra, you know, hyper vigilant, as is Reese. He struggled with like sleeping in his room alone, which had never ever been an issue in his life at all before. Even here in a new place, he came in our room last night, and we're just working through it with him, and whatever he needs is what he needs. And just like I have things that I need to feel safe, he has things that he needs to feel safe, and whatever we can do to help him, that's what we do.
I'd like to talk to you about any therapies or anything that has helped you throughout this time. Obviously, nothing's going to take it away, but is there anything that that has helped you maybe process?
I have an amazing therapist. I see her twice a week and have for, basically since it happened.
Yeah.
I do EMDR. Which
how is that? Does that help?
It helps. It's extremely difficult when you're doing it, and it's exhausting, which was surprising. Kind of the whole process of this is physically exhausting. Yeah. I'm like, why am I sleepy in the middle of the day? And some of it I think is medication, but some of it is just when your body is like amped up all the time.
Yeah.
It just is tiring. But EMDR, I've done it for some specific parts of that day, with the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And it helps. I know I've heard that with some people, they just do it for that part one time and they don't have to do it anymore. I've had to like revisit. So it's like it doesn't necessarily hold indefinitely, but it helps. And then if we need to go back, we go back. As I've gone through this, different things pop into my mind and different thoughts. So my perspective about, what happened in a certain moment might change a little bit. And so then I'll go do EMDR again. Reese is in therapy as well, with a therapist that specializes in children. And that, I think, helped him. It helped him open up a lot. He was shut down at first. And once he started therapy, he started to ask me questions and talk about that day.
Right.
And he asked me some very pointed questions related to things he had seen. And that would just like, whoa, I didn't know you saw that. I would just think to myself, wow.
Like he's able to slowly start processing it in his kid way.
Yes. And know that it's okay to ask about it or talk about it.
Right.
He doesn't have to like keep it inside. So yeah, therapy, highly recommend. I think I already thought therapy was beneficial and helpful to people, but especially anyone who is experiencing a trauma or has experienced a trauma, I think that it is invaluable to go and try to get help from a professional who understands especially what it does to your brain, the parts of your brain that are impacted, the parts of your brain that are controlling what you're doing that is different than like your executive function and your frontal lobe is not what's in charge when you're in a trauma.
Right.
It's back here. And it's survival. It's all of that. But the therapy I will go to therapy forever.
Yeah. Kind of helps you understand and put into perspective what you're feeling, what you're going through. Like, why am I feeling all these millions of feelings at once?
Yes. Yeah, it's validation. It's sometimes I go and we just talk about like, can you, this, something that happened during the week. It's not always that's like digging into the depths of everything. Sometimes it's just, I'm feeling this way. What's that about? And she can help me understand.
Amazing.
That's totally. It's supposed to, like the intent of it was invented for first use in Vietnam veterans.
Yes.
And so it's commonly used in the military and with like first responders. And so it's supposed to like soften the memory so that you still remember but it's not like it's not like your body is experiencing it again over and over. So you're not having like the, rapid heart rate or the physical response. So you can think of the thought and it doesn't like send you into this like flashback.
Got it. Okay.
And so that's when I say like it helps me for a while, and then it kind of the benefit of it sort of dulls, and then I kind of have to go back and do it again. So I remember everything. It just helps me not like completely just lose it.
Yeah.
When I think about it.
Got it. So it can kind of help you revisit the trauma, the memories, but in a softer, more protective way for yourself.
Yes. So if the thought pops into my head, I'm not automatically there again. When I do MDR, I'm pretty selective about when I do it because I know the impact. So if I have something else I have to do that day, I won't do it. If I, I try to be mindful of what the rest of my day looks like because I might just need to come home and, crash out, lay down, and not do anything.
Yeah.
And there are like versions that Reese has done. It's not exactly the same, but it's tailored towards someone younger.
Okay.
But like tapping, and just different techniques that help.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I highly recommend it to anyone that's experienced something traumatic.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because that's what I've been hearing for many trauma victims. I think that's like a common source of therapy now that people are trying that's helping them work through it. Mm-hmm. The reason why I wanted to do this podcast is because I know that there's so much more than the headline. There's so much more to the person. And Cash is the perfect example of this. You did get to speak to the media and you did get to dive into a little bit more of who Cash is, but still never enough time. Mm-hmm. And so I would ask you, as we close this podcast, for anyone watching, what is something that I guess you would want them to take away from either this episode or Cash's story?
Well, our entire foundation is called Live Like Cash Gaudio.
Yes. And
what that means a lot of different things. But some of the things it means is to live with kindness, to be inclusive, reach out to the person that doesn't seem to have, a lot of friends, be interested in people, ask them questions, have joy and enthusiasm and confidence. And Cash cared a lot about being a leader, care about other people, just embrace every opportunity that you have, and most of all, I know that Cash would want me to encourage people to pursue a relationship with Jesus. Yeah. And religion, I know, can be a controversial topic, but for Cash, his faith was his own faith. It wasn't something that was forced on him. He had his Bible open next to his bed. He was living out his walk with God. He had goals and dreams and plans, and he knew what kind of marriage he hoped for, and what kind of father he wanted to be. He was thinking about all of those things, even though he was only 19. But he just took advantage of every situation, opportunity. He said yes, like, you want to go to this concert? Yes. You want to go to see a dirt racetrack race? Yes. Do you want, whatever it was, he was open to trying new experiences.
Yeah.
But always thinking of other people. And so I just would ask people to just really learn about Cash. Go to cashgaudio.org and you can see information there about him on the foundation website. Go to my social media every Monday. It's probably going to be like, 300 and whatever weeks, and I'll still be posting. Yeah. And if you didn't have the privilege to know him, go out and find ways to get to know him, and then live like he lived. And that is like the best way to honor him, is to be a person that lives the way Cash lived his life, just with 100% pouring into everything he did.
It's amazing. Well, his story has inspired me so much, and I really do appreciate you speaking with me. I know it's not easy to go through some of the topics that we've covered, but like I said, I know his story is so important, and I also do encourage people to look into his story. If you need some inspiration, if you need some encouragement about, living your life to the fullest, definitely recommend checking in. So thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.